You wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and realize that more of your life is behind you than ahead. And in that moment, something shifts. A quiet voice starts listing things. Choices you made, chances you didn't take, words you never said. That voice has a name, and it's called regret. The regrets that hit hardest after 60. Not the small stuff, not the parking tickets and the bad haircuts. The deep ones. The ones that keep you awake at 3 in the morning wondering what your life might have looked like if you had just done one thing differently. And here's why this matters even if you're watching this at 30, 40, or 50. These patterns don't start at 60. They build slowly over decades, hiding in plain sight, and by the time most people recognize them, they feel like it's too late to do anything about it. But it isn't, and that's the whole point of this conversation. Let's start with the one that comes up more than almost anything else. People reach their 60s and realize they spent the majority of their adult lives working for a version of success that was never really theirs. They chased titles, salaries, and status because society handed them a script and they followed it. Then one day, the career ends, and they're left with a trophy they never actually wanted standing in a house that doesn't feel like home, asking themselves who they were actually living for all those years. This isn't about money being evil or ambition being wrong. It's about never stopping to ask whether the ladder you're climbing is leaning against the right wall. Most people never ask that question until it's almost too late. Then there's the relationship regret. And this one is brutal because it involves other people. Parents who passed away while you were too busy to call. Children who grew up in the background of your ambition. Friendships that slowly dissolved because nobody made the effort to keep them alive. Marriages that faded not because of a dramatic collapse but because of years of small neglect. Here's a truth that researchers and therapists who work with elderly patients confirm repeatedly. The number one end-of-life regret is not about career failure or financial loss. It's about connection. People wish they had loved better. They wish they had been more present. They wish they had said the things they felt instead of waiting for the right moment that never came. The right moment is always now. That's not a cliché. That is one of the most accurate statements about human life ever made. Let's talk about the body. So many people hit 60 and realize they treated their physical health like a credit card, spending carelessly in youth and expecting to pay it back later. But the human body doesn't work on credit. The people who reach their 60s in good health will tell you something consistent. They made small investments in their bodies consistently over time. Not perfect discipline, not obsession, just consistent small choices repeated over years. And then there's the courage regret. This one is quiet, but it might be the most painful of all. The book nobody wrote, the business nobody started, the conversation nobody had because the risk felt too great, the creative dream that got filed away under the word someday and then someday never arrived. Psychologists who study regret have found something fascinating. In the short term, we regret the things we did. The embarrassing moments, the failed attempts, the times we fell flat on our faces. But over a lifetime, that equation completely flips. In the long run, people regret far more deeply the things they never tried. The inaction, the playing it safe, the dreams they didn't pursue because failure felt too threatening. Fear of failure is one of the greatest thieves of human potential. It takes dreams and buries them quietly under layers of logic and practicality and tells you that you're being responsible when really you're just scared. Here's something important. There is a version of regret that is completely useless, and there is a version that is deeply powerful. The useless version looks backward and uses the past to punish yourself for who you were before you knew better. The powerful version looks backward, extracts the lesson, and then uses that understanding to radically change how you move forward from this exact moment. Every person who has walked out of their 60s without being destroyed by regret has done one thing in common. They chose to treat the past as a teacher rather than a prison. They let themselves feel the weight of it, they acknowledged what they had missed, and then they decided to spend whatever time remained living with intention rather than autopilot. Because here is the thing about life after 60 that almost nobody talks about. There is still so much life left. People are running businesses in their 70s, learning instruments in their 80s, repairing relationships they thought were permanently broken, starting over in ways that seemed impossible. The research on post-60 happiness is actually remarkable. Many people report the years after 60 as among their most fulfilling precisely because the nonsense finally falls away and what matters becomes crystal clear. You don't need decades to change direction. You need a decision and then a series of consistent actions that follow it. The regrets we've talked about today aren't inevitable. They're warnings. They are a map showing you exactly where people tend to go wrong so that you can choose a different path. Whether you're 25 and this feels like something happening to someone else, or you're 65 and nodding along recognizing your own life in these words, the moment to act is always the same moment. It's this one, right now, today. The life you want to look back on without regret doesn't get built in the future. It gets built in the small choices happening right now while you still have the chance to make them.